And welcome to the latest in our Marketplace skills session. If you have just joined us, if you could please scan the QR code or use the link that is on the screen there to register your attendance. Unlike when we're on campus where we scan your student cards in so we know you've attended an event, this is a good way for our record keeping. I have to say, it is so strange to be meeting with you like this. Normally, it's so lovely to see your smiling faces as you come into the Level 2 multifunction room or the Copeland Theatre. But until we're back on campus, you're just we're all learning how to use Zoom and use it more effectively. So I'll give you a few more seconds to use that QR code. And while you're doing that, I would like to introduce the team from Design Industries. Particularly today, thank you to Michael and the team, because when we approached them, we actually came to them and said, we've identified a key skill that would be really interesting for our students to learn more about is the use of Trello. Now that very, very quickly we realised that that is just one piece of a very large puzzle that is the Atlassian suite of tools, which as you go out into the marketplace, you will be hearing more about. So we wanted to make sure you had a good introduction to them today so that you know what's out there and what people are using to truly collaborate in business today. So I should now hand over to Michael, who's going to lead you through quite a bit today. I hear they've done so much work putting this together for you. So enjoy. There will be designated times to ask questions. The Q&A is open and that will be monitored for you as well. So I will now hand over to Michael. Thank you.
Thanks very much to everybody who's joined us today. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to tell you a little bit about the things that we do and the world of collaboration tools and Atlassian. So we've got quite a few things that we'd like to go through today. So perhaps I can share my screen at this point and we'll get going. All right, so my name is Michael Dockery. I'm the founder of Design Industries. We're an Atlassian solution partner, and we help organisations make the most of the Atlassian toolchain. You may or may not have heard about Atlassian, but it's Australia's greatest startup success story, and we're going to be hearing a little bit more about it about here. I've got quite a few tabs open of things that I'd like to show you today. We've got a bit of a run sheet. There's quite a few things that we're going to cover, and we're going to make this available for you afterwards, and I think there's going to be a recording as well. So you're also welcome to ask questions. There's going to be a section for questions at the end. But I believe you can put it in the chat, and I've got a couple of assistants with me today. We've got Elliot and Phil who are helping me out, so they'll help me out with any questions. So without further ado, perhaps we'll get on with things. So yeah, I sort of skipped Design Industries and I guess the founding of Design Industries. Design Industries has been around for 20 years. We started out as a web development company and we were doing all sorts of things, you know, e-commerce, content management systems, startups, custom developments. It was certainly an interesting time with the web back in 2000. But we took up Atlassian for our own service delivery. One thing led to another, and now, yeah, we're helping organisations with all sorts of things. So, for example, digital transformation. Now, it's you know, there's so many industry buzzwords in our particular field, and there's certain sort of or industry trends that are taking place, and one of the trends and buzzwords is digital transformation. You know, so what is a digital transformation? It's basically transforming your organization to go from non-digital processes to digital processes, and then really trying to make all of that harmonize. There's plenty of great articles from I love McKinsey because you can get really high-level information regarding quite a wide variety of topics, and you don't have to go too far, and you can really find out some really interesting aspects. But all corporations and organizations these days are performing their digital transformation, and it's creating quite a few challenges because, as you can imagine, things have moved quite rapidly in digital over the last 30 years. And now, certain tools and certain technologies have really come of age and allow us to do certain things. So another concept, and again, it's a buzzword, it's an industry trend, it's called the new, and that really is about transforming the way that organizations have traditionally operated, where they can be very siloed. They might have paper-based processes. The reporting is difficult because it takes time to capture all the information and then present it to senior management, then for them to be able to make decisions. So there's a variety of concepts that sort of lead into this, and I'm going to get into Agile project management in a second. But as part of the digital transformation, so new tools become available, new techniques become available, new ways of working becomes available. It gets wrapped up into this new ways of working. We're going to have a look at some of these buzzwords as we go through and discover a little bit more about them. So I'd suggest having a bit of a read. These are really short articles. You could rip through these in an hour and then you really understand how this is affecting all industries. And it's actually all teams and it's all functions. So it's the development teams, the marketing teams, the finance teams, the project management, portfolio management teams, every team. And we'll find out a little bit more about teams a little bit later and how Atlassian is delivering a tool that facilitates the digital transformation and the new ways of working. And so let's find out a little bit more about the new ways of working. So Atlassian's got a great site called the Agile Coach. So Agile is an interesting place to start. So Agile is a relatively new project management methodology. So previously, Waterfall was a very a popular methodology used in business through the 80s and the 90s. There were particular methodologies built around it, like Prince 2. So, there's always been these ways of working and these concepts about how to best implement or potentially perform a function. And it's kind of like a big textbook. It's like a theory, and then businesses pick them up, and then generally what happens is one rises to the top as a preferred methodology. So Agile grew out of the software development industry. So back in the 2000s, in the dot-com boom, when there was a lot of software produced, the traditional methods of project management, Waterfall, simply weren't delivering. And the reason was because of the uncertainty in the projects. So it's a little bit different when you're building a building or you're building a bridge. There's a lot of things that you actually really do know about the project and the end product, and you can plan around that. Whereas when you're developing a web app or something like Facebook or Amazon or any of these mobile apps that you're using, it's very difficult to envisage the end building and then try and build it, because unfortunately back in the early 2000s, and that was my experience in the web development sphere, is the customer didn't know what they want. They got an idea of what they want, but they really, because they've never seen it, they've never touched it, they can't really tell. And until you put it in front of a customer and they'll sit there and go, I like this, I don't like that, you need that feedback. So that's where Agile as a methodology came from. And it's interesting how it's expanded, and it's actually Atlassian's heritage. So Atlassian started in 2002, and it really was a bug tracking software called Jira. We're going to find out a little bit more about Jira later. And it grew into an agile software project management tool. And that's really Atlassian's heritage. And then what's happened is you've had these evolution of, well, it's been happening for a long time, but the agile transformation's only really been discussion in industry in the last 5 years, 6 years. And now it's only really now that large corporations are really taking it seriously. And a lot of them have made good steps and good strides, but a lot of them are a little bit behind, but they're all in process of doing this. So Agile is really interesting project management sort of technique. And it sort of grew out into a couple of sort of concepts, Kanban and Scrum. I want to quickly jump into Kanban because I think it's quite interesting. And so here's some examples of some Kanban boards. But if you have a look at this really simple one here, this is the concept of Kanban. It's about understanding and organizing your work. So you know what's ready to be done, you know what's in flight and being worked on, and you can tell what's been completed, tested, signed off, and implemented into your environment. So it's a really clear way of understanding your work. And what you can do is you can be a little bit more sophisticated than that, and you can actually have multiple steps in your workflow or your process, but it's still into these sort of main concepts of to do, doing, and done. And I think this is just from a really foundational point of view, this is the fundamental of Agile and organizing your work. It's being able to understand how your work is broken up and be focused on delivering value. And it's also about work in progress limits. So I'm probably not going to cover today, but that is in here. So I would suggest that you have a look. WIP limits. There's all these interesting, so that's a work in progress limit. So you make sure you're not working on too many things. So perhaps I will go into it. For example, I like to say if you're doing 10 things and you've got those 10 things 90% done, you've got nothing done. So we've delivered no value. We've put in all this work, but we've accomplished and delivered absolutely nothing. So it's just an interesting way of thinking about how we organize our work and making sure that we're working on the right things and making sure that we're delivering value. Okay, I'm going to jump on to scaled Agile. So this has been the iteration of Agile. So this is SAFe is probably the most widely accepted scaled Agile framework accepted by enterprise. And this is an evolution of Agile, and it's basically how do we do Agile at an enterprise size. And it's interesting is you're looking at this diagram. It's a little bit complicated, but it's basically about producing your work. So you've got your business owners, the executive, and they're deciding what needs to be done. They're looking at their delivery pipeline, and then the teams are actually doing the work sprint by sprint by sprint by sprint and doing continual releases. And then it just gets bigger as we add another layer, which is your executive kind of layer, and then it goes right up to the full. So if you're, and no one's doing lean budgets yet, or very, very few, these are new concepts that are coming. So the lean budget is basically, instead of saying, okay, IT department, you've got X amount of dollars to spend, it's rather there's a certain, there's a bucket internally, and each department goes and requests for budget, and projects get funded as opposed to the entire year of an entire department. And then what they do is they'll measure the success and the return on investment on those projects, and then reallocate that money. So if they're not getting the return on investment for a particular line of work or delivery, whatever they're doing, then they have the opportunity to be able to say, okay, we're going to discontinue that. We're going to fund something that is actually driving a return on investment for us. So in terms of, principles, we went from, new ways of working. You can see that's a completely new way of operating, but it's just a building on Kanban, building on Agile, and building out to a large scale that actually works. So these are concepts that I'd just like you to be aware of. And again, you can find out a lot of information really easily just by jumping into something like Atlassian. All this information is available to you. Another concept that I'd like to go through is IT service management. And again, this is an ITIL. It's kind of, I laugh, it's kind of like one of those phone books with all the rules, and you can get yourself certified. You can do all sorts of things with it, or you can just practice some best practice. So ITSM allows you to do, it's IT asset management, but fundamentally it's these three processes: incident management, problem management, and change management. And doing this in best practice, because you can imagine, the IT environment of the modern organization is pretty pretty comprehensive, shall we say. There's lots of servers, laptops, desktops, routers, firewalls, networks, you name it, that need to be managed, and things do go wrong. So, you'll get your incidents, and it's like, how do you respond to those incidents? A problem is just a collection of incidents. And then change management. So you might get multiple users report an incident, gets rolled up to a problem. The problem gets investigated. As a result, a change is triggered to fix the problem. The change then gets implemented into the environment, signed off as successful, and then that rolls back. So then we can close the problem, and we can close the incident, and we've got a record of the changes that we've made out into our environment. So it's interesting, being able to manage all our data, and that's really kind of where a lot of this goes. So your new ways of working is making sure you've got access to the data and at the right time with the right people in the right format, and as we can see here, knowledge management, which I actually opened up as something slightly separate, but knowledge management's just an interesting one because it comes down to not only the data in your databases, but it's the other information like how-to articles, knowledge articles, explainer articles, process documentation, the quality of that. Because if your documentation, your process, how-tos aren't up to date, then you can't expect your staff and your team to actually perform those functions correctly. So it's really important to have all these things in place. Here's a diagram of ITIL. So you'll notice these some patterns here in these images. There's lots of circles and flowing, and it's the same with ITIL. It's about making sure that all the information is in place, and it's a continual improvement type scenario. So always looking to improve our environment, whether it's upgrade hardware or technology, or we're trying to improve our systems and our process and our delivery and our information that we release internally to our staff, but then also that we might publish to our clients and end users. Okay, keep going. All right, here's a new one. Okay, so another concept that is DevOps, so development operations. This doesn't apply to everyone. And I think this is interesting again from Atlassian's point of view, as they came from a software development heritage, and at the end of the day, what they've actually got is a end-to-end platform that will take you from a concept, an idea, through portfolio management, through program management, through project management, through into a feature, written into code, deployed out into an environment. So Atlassian can take you end to end. But DevOps is another interesting concept that's sort of grown out of the software development field, obviously, over the last 20 years. And it really was about doing deployments much, much faster. So back in the day, back in the 2000s, we might produce, from my experience, it was, e-commerce sites or a custom app, and we'd spend ages documenting it and then building it, then testing it, then changing it, as opposed to just being able to deploy a small amount of code, get the feedback on that code, and then start to create your new features from there. So it was really always about going through a process of always doing a little bit of planning, a little bit of build, deploy it to your environment, see how it goes, ask your customers, and then back into it. So instead of deploying infrequently, and that's probably what DevOps really breaks down, is how quickly you can do your deployments. So previously a software team might do a deployment, I don't know, once every 6 months or once a year. Some might deploy monthly, but the essence is to be able to deploy pretty much continually. So I think Facebook does, it's tens of thousands of deployments a day. The same with Amazon. Obviously they're massive companies, but even for a small software team to be able to deploy code on a daily or weekly basis makes a a real difference in how you can manage the quality of your apps, and to be able to provide features, when your clients demand it much quicker. I think that's what I wanted to say on DevOps. So that's really for developers in the room. I guess we've probably got a variety of students from different courses, but I think what you'll find is you're going to come across all of these concepts. Even if you're not a software developer, you're going to come across DevOps, because most organizations are doing some software development to some extent. And even if they're not doing it themselves, they've hired someone to do it. So as a senior manager, you need to understand what they're doing and kind of how they're doing it. You don't need to understand how to code, obviously, if you're not a coder. So here's more information on CI/CD. There's plenty of information here. It's growing all the time in terms of the techniques and the technology that's used. So yeah, as a software developer, or you're interested in that type of field, I highly suggest you come along and check this stuff out if you haven't already, because yeah, it's super interesting. Another concept, again, it's not for everybody, but for the software engineers, and again, for any business user, understanding that this stuff goes on. So Git is an interesting methodology. So it's actually, so it's a way of branching, or sorry, it's a way of managing your code. So previously, code management was a little bit difficult with synchronization if you've got multiple developers working on a single feature or a single project. And Git is an open source methodology which basically solved that. And it was really around just some basic commands that allow multiple teams or team members to collaborate around a single piece of code or a single feature, and to be able to work together. So here's an example of a screenshot inside Bitbucket, which is one of Atlassian's products, which we'll find out a little bit more shortly. And you can see you've got multiple developers. It's linked to Jira issues, so you can see which line of code is linked to which ticket in Jira. And again, it's really interesting from a traceability point of view. So you can imagine you might have pushed some code out to an environment, and then you get multiple incident reports, and so that'll be escalated to a problem, and then it can be shared with the developers, and they'll be able to trace to the line of code and the issue what has been done, and that obviously speeds the path to be able to resolve anything. So it's amazing the stories we hear of things that go wrong in deploying code, and that's why it's so useful to have these type of really powerful tools that give you the traceability and the ability to manage all of your environment and all of your code, and also be able to roll back your code. So it's interesting using the tools. You could push code out to an environment, and then if it's not working or there's an error when it hits the production environment, you can actually run a plan in Bamboo to basically roll back the code and install the previous version and restore the service. And these type of things can actually be automated using CI/CD. So in theory, you can push your code to your production environment, you run an automated test, and if it fails, it will roll back automatically. You can have your plans and your scripts written to do that. And again, best practice code management. And yeah, most organizations are pushing out a lot of code these days. So it's an interesting concept. Let's come back to, knowledge management. Let's kind of come back to that. So I'm just looking. I just want to show you something else around knowledge management. I didn't write it down. Okay, so yeah, I did. Where is it? Here we go. So these concepts. So knowledge management, it's an interesting one. Because you have a couple of different concepts. So find it, fix it, flag it, and forget it. So it's interesting when you're in an organization and there's a lot of information and a lot of it is incorrect. And it's, okay, how do we handle this? And there's actually a whole, it's a subset of ITSM, but there's a whole thought process and a whole methodology around what we do with content, and how we manage it. So, and then I'll come on to data integrity. So if you think about the modern organization as really all of its data. So instead of its silos and its divisions and all that type of thing, think about it as just the data in the database. And then it comes down to which teams are going to utilize that data, and then how they visualize that data. And then how they manipulate that data as part of their process. And so data integrity is one of the keys to be able to get this right. You've probably heard garbage in, garbage out. And that's how it is with any digital process. So it's just, yeah, interesting to be aware of knowledge management. And the people involved in knowledge management, like Agile, it's like all of these concepts. You actually find experts in the field, and they're so passionate about it. It's really incredible, and particularly the KM crowd and the Agile crowd. So, yeah, interesting stuff. All right, so I'm just going to see how we're going for time. I think we are okay. So what I'm going to do is tell you about Atlassian. Okay. Okay, so here's the share price. So this didn't come out of nothing. Revenue 1.21 billion. Yeah, that's not bad. So basically started in 2002. Their core product was Jira. Bug tracking, as I mentioned. Yeah, so two Sydney boys done very well. And yeah, I think they're boasting at the moment 80 of the Fortune 100 and 70% of the Fortune 500 are using their software. So it's a pretty incredible story. And here they are. So this is Atlassian. So not everyone's familiar with Atlassian. I think it's becoming more and more obviously well known as a brand name. Previously, they were really well known, and here's their products. They're known for Jira. So Jira, as I said, was a bug tracking tool, and then it evolved into a agile project management tool, or a software project management tool, and then it's gone crazy from there. So so what we'll do is we'll have a look at some of these products, and here's Trello. It's Atlassian bought Trello last year, and maybe we can start with Trello just because most of you have probably used it and very familiar with it. So Trello gives you the Kanban board. It allows you to customize your Kanban boards, and it's a really lightweight product. Insofar as it's not complicated, it's very easy to use, which is why it's been so successful. I think they've got 50 million customers worldwide, and you've got heaps of teams in every sort of aspect of business using this tool. And again, it's just dragging your tickets along through the Kanban boards. This isn't the greatest page, so it's going to take a second to load. Okay, so it's great as a lightweight Kanban tool, but it doesn't have the power of Jira. So let's have a look at Jira. So I've jumped into the product page for Jira. And what does Jira give you? Well, it gives you your Scrum boards. So there's your Kanban boards, same thing, but different. So a Scrum board has a backlog. It's got a different view that allows you to see tickets that are not created yet, but details. So it allows you to track your work, allows you to track your releases, allows you to report like crazy on what you're doing. So it gives you really good information as to the performance of the team and how quickly you're getting things done, how efficiently you're getting things done. So there's a lot of this comes out of that Agile framework, which is, yeah, a different way of measuring work, a different way of measuring progress. So fundamentally we're looking at two concepts, so business value and story points. Like in Agile, I call it story points. So story points are a combination of effort and difficulty put into a Fibonacci number, and business value is all of the value that might be derived by implementing this particular thing or feature. So business value might improve customer perception, might decrease the cost or cycle time of a process, might lower costs, might improve sales. I mean, there's so many different ways that it can possibly deliver value. So what we want to do is we want to measure how fast we're delivering value, basically. So we use a technique called short weighted job first, where we're basically looking for features or tasks or things to do that deliver a lot of value with little effort or as low effort as possible. And we can actually graph that, and that gives us good insights to how we do our work. So Jira, connect the issue to the code. So we saw a little bit of that before. Obviously, this is only important for software teams, but to be able to understand your features and all the different tasks that your team are working on, and then how it actually correlates to the code in the code library is obviously extremely useful. We've got lots of things that it does. Is it going to show you? I don't even show you a workflow. That's so much job. Okay, the power of Jira is around the fact that it's got your boards, it's got some other nice things that allow you to plan, but here's the power. So what it does is allows you to create a workflow. And I like to describe Jira as actually a workflow engine. So it's got some very, very powerful tools in it that allow you to pretty much do whatever you want. So there's lots of possibilities to, design whatever workflow, put validators on it, conditions, quite a range of business rules, automations, and we can actually even execute code and run a script after we have a workflow status change. So for example, if you might be a HR department and a new staff member is starting, that person needs a laptop, they might need a building pass, they'll need access to certain software systems, so they'll need to be provisioned with passwords and usernames and things like that. So for example, when the status of that employee goes to approved or hired, we could run a script and gather information regarding that and push it to third-party systems and provision that user. So automate the provisioning of setting up that laptop and the mobile phone and all the other type of things. So that's an example of how you could potentially add script to a workflow. I do intend to show you a workflow in a little bit. Guess what's next? Okay, I'm just gonna, this is a production instance of Confluence, and I'm gonna show you a design document. And I'm going to show you some workflows. So these are workflows that we use for ITSM, ITIL solutions. This is a support workflow, which is kind of boring. Incidents probably obviously a little bit more exciting, but you can see that there's quite a few steps that we need to go through. So whether we're doing a quick fix, investigating, how we link it to a problem ticket, an existing problem ticket, or we create a new problem ticket. We can design that, we can edit it, and we can configure it into the tool, which allows us to be able to really manage what it is that we're doing and to understand where it sits. And these colors that you're looking at is the Kanban colors. So we've got new or to do, and then you've got in progress, and then you've got done. So that Kanban principle applies in all the workflows. Workflows, we do asset management, risk management, we do recurring activities, procurement, obviously project management, just goes on and on. Whatever process we decide we want to design, we can do in Jira. And this is the power of Jira versus Trello, because Trello allows you to just create your statuses, but it gives you no rules and doesn't allow you to validate data as it's going from one status to the next status. So Atlassian's bought Trello. I think they appreciate the look and feel and the ease of use, and also the customer base. And the plan will be to glue it to Jira. So Trello users can have the ease of use and the nice colorful interface, yet they can access the power of Jira underneath. So yeah, in terms of Atlassian's products, Jira is really where they came from. It's the core. They then created created a product called Confluence. Just trying to think whether they bought it or they created. Confluence is it's a wiki. So a wiki, well, you're familiar with Wikipedia, but this is really getting away from having a Word document and having it emailed around and or sitting on a shared drive or sitting in SharePoint. Then you go, what version is it? How does this work? What Confluence is a wiki page that you simply access and you click edit. And here was one before. Actually, no, sorry, we skipped that. This is Confluence. You click edit, and you're suddenly editing the document. Other people can log in. They can edit with you. You can put all these fancy things in here. They're called macros, but you've got this sort of bar up the top. And this is where you can obviously do your design documents. You can have people collaborate around it. And it's always the latest version. And you can go back and you can see the previous version. So it's really good product to be able to keep everything organized. Doesn't matter what you're doing, whether the marketing team, whether it's meeting notes, whether you're doing product requirements, design documents, project planning, you name it. It gives you the opportunity just to be able to collaborate with your team. So yeah, you've got Jira and Confluence. I like to say 1 + 1 = 2 with these two products. You've got Trello, which they're going to glue to Jira. Jira Align was bought last year. That is a portfolio planning tool. We're going to skip that for today. Jira Core is a simplified version of Jira. Jira Core still gives you your Kanban boards and your Scrum boards, but it's simplified for business users. So for the marketing team, the finance team, and non-technical and non-software teams, this is just a simpler interface. Jira Service Desk, which is it's just a simplified version of Jira to be externally facing for end users, so they can come along and request whatever they need a new laptop, and then it'll link to the knowledge base in Confluence and explain, give them any information required around that. And you've got a series of other products. I'm mindful of time. What I'm going to do is step it up a little bit, and perhaps Kerry and Jane, we did start a little bit late. I'm happy to go over, but I'm not sure how that lands. So, all right.
I think we can go maybe run 10 minutes late. That should be fine if you feel that will then give enough time for questions.
Okay, cool. Do we have questions, guys? We got lots of questions coming through. I was going to say, if you've got questions, ladies and gentlemen, please pop them in the chat. We do have some time allocated at the end for questions, so I'd be happy to go through. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go through these products quickly. We've done that. We looked at that. There's a Jira Service Desk, and obviously that's an internal one. That's how awesome our team is, because yeah, there's lots going on, but they pick things up super quick. I was going to show you some reports. Initial response time. So this is, we always measure initial response time and overall response time. So we'll have a look. We got one that we didn't pick up in time over the last year. So that's super, super exciting. anyway, that's our service desk. So we did Confluence. Jira Service Desk, yeah, so customer portal, yeah, IT and a new laptop, or yeah, human resources, yeah, I want to go on leave, whatever it is. Yeah, we spoke about incident management, all those type of things. We'll get onto the 200 plus integrations. Okay, another Atlassian product, Bitbucket. So Bitbucket is where we store the code. So this is a Git repository and allows you to manage your code, and it all links out to Jira and to Bamboo. Allows you to do your CI/CD and your continual deployment. More products. Ops Genie. So Ops Genie is around alerts. So you might have web servers that will tell you when they're having a bad day, and they'll tell you. You might have, yeah, all sorts of alerts coming through from different systems, and it's about being able to simplify those and build workflows around how those incidents get organized, which team do they go to, how do they respond. So, a whole area of depth just in here to manage your alerts coming out of your systems. All right, I'm going to show you this one. This is good. So we looked at Atlassian's products, all right? So we looked at their products in general, and now we're having a look at the marketplace, because there's an app for that. So yeah, there's 5,000 plus plugins on the marketplace, and they allow you to do all sorts of things. So there's lots of integrations, so with third-party systems, which makes it easy. But the little things like time tracking, test management. If you're producing really sophisticated code, you might want to have a sophisticated test management suite looking over it. There's nice stuff like Glyphy diagrams. Not sure if you've used Glyphy. Can't remember Microsoft's version of that anymore. So it allows you to do all your diagramming, and you just plug it into Confluence. Script Runner's just so powerful, because the fact is you can run a script, which means push data, pull data, manipulate data, and trigger events. So there's just so many things in here. There's a couple that I was going to show you. So Portfolio for Jira. So Portfolio for Jira gives you, well, if you think about it, you've got portfolio management, program management, and project management. There's a sort of hierarchy down. So it's like being able to manage many programs, many projects, and understand where they all are is quite the trick. So you need high quality data in your tool, but then you use a tool like Portfolio. And what we've done here is in Confluence, we're surfacing portfolio reports. So we could give this to an executive, and they'll be able to see where their strategic themes are at, and their ratios of what they plan to do and how they wanted to do it at a very strategic level. And then you can just start to drill down. I've flown all this stuff out, but here's a project status update. So it'll tell you where each of these components are at. What's this? That'll show you their epics, their progress. So this is out of a demo environment. So it'd be much nicer to see these with, nice, you'd like to see them on their way to complete. And it also shows you which ones aren't looking good. And what else we got? We've got some here. So this will show you your work on a timeline. It'll show you here what's overloaded. So if you're in red, basically you don't have enough resources, you don't have enough people to do the amount of work that's been committed to. So what this allows you to do is move these very large pieces of work around, or experiment with your teams to be able to manage your capacity to work on your high priority initiatives. And then it just down. So initiatives is from a hierarchy point of view, it's very high. It's, what have you got? Strategic themes, and builds down. So with initiatives, and it goes down to your epics, so smaller pieces of work. And again, then you can drill down even into your teams and start to having a look at where your teams are. Are they on time? Are they late? Are they on track? Really interesting tool. Here's another plugin. We use this one because our projects, they're not really software projects. They're closer to building a bridge than producing going to do. So for example, we know we're going to install Atlassian or Jira and Confluence onto an AWS server. We know the configurations that we're going to install onto that platform. We know we're going to have a couple of meetings to discuss those configurations, make changes. We know we're going to document those changes. So so we prefer this kind of waterfall view. So what this does is give you, well, waterfall, what people love about waterfall is the Gantt chart. And what it basically does is shows you the dependencies over time, which is obviously a great view, even if you are super agile and you're in the software field. But what this does as well is it gives you the capacity view. So you can see what's on target, what's your critical path, your dependencies, and then how your capacity stacks up against it. And obviously you can see your progress, and that's all looking at data that's sitting in Jira. So it gives a really good high level view, and then you can just filter it like crazy so you can see whatever you need. So that's a really good one. Inside asset management, this one is extraordinary. So what this will do is allow you to manage your IT infrastructure, so laptops, mobiles, printers, firewalls, whatever it is. And you can use a plugin called Insight Discovery, which will actually go out onto your network and it will discover all the devices, bring the data back, put it into this tool here. And now we can change management, version control it. And when an incident comes through the service desk, we can immediately link it to a user and then their actual device, and then be able to provide a better response because we've got that type of tool available. So that's an extremely powerful plugin that we put inside Jira, and that just connects with the Jira service desk, the service team, and it's an example of one of 5,000 amazing extensions. So, all right, so I guess a couple of things. We're almost there. Want to show you a couple of examples of the product. This is Confluence. As you can see, it is my status report and it's got my name on it. Everyone in our organization has got one of those. And basically it gives a really clean look into my work. So I can, obviously, useful links, I can go and see all our sales related stuff. I can see our work. So we had a look at the service desk. I can go and see what the team is working on. I can see the status reports of all the projects, the major pieces of work. I can go into operations, check out our incidents and problems, risks that are going. I can see the change backlog. We do software asset management, hardware asset management, put useful links, all the backlog, or sorry, roadmaps for the various areas. And you can see there's so much information. Once I start flying this out, here's all the accounts. You notice I'm a bit overdue. We're busy. Oh, there you guys are. Build the backlog. Well, I did that, so I'm pretty happy. I hope you guys have you've enjoyed a little bit of today, seeing some of this stuff. Here's quotes. So that's procurement. So we've got accounts, I've got procurement. These are recurring activities that tell me to pay staff or pay tax, or tells the staff to check their epics and deliverables. Here's my work items, what's going on at the moment, I can tell you that. So that's an example of my status report. Here's our active sprint progress. This is what we talk to in the morning. So we can see that where the work is. We can see our blockers, criticals, majors, the high priority accounts. Obviously we're talking risks, so COVID-19, we've been mitigating the forex changes, so USD AUD rates have really affected us, so we've had to work through that. But it's good to be able to have all this information available. So here's an example of an epic and a deliverable. It's Kanban board. So these are deliverables, the massive pieces of work that we've got. And then it breaks down into the smaller pieces of work that we have, and we can sort by team. So it's just interesting to be able to understand where all this is at. It's all on a workflow. We can play with rank. We can play with workflow states from here, and all of that goes into it's live reporting. So at any point in time, you can see what's going on in the environment. So I guess that's what I wanted to show you today. We've covered a lot. Yeah, just some of those new concepts. They're easy to read up on. Then Atlassian, yeah, has got 10 or so core products which address these type of things. And yeah, you've got the marketplace, which has got 5,000 apps. So it doesn't matter, you know, what team you're sitting in. You know, you're probably going to come up against Atlassian, yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy it when you see it. All right, we have some questions coming in. So this is a Confluence page, and you can see right now you've got a few people collaborating. You've got Alice, Elliot, Phil, and myself. So we've got a series of questions going in, so this is good. So perhaps what I'll do is I'll just hit it from the top. So how does Confluence compare to collaborative tools like Google Suite? Okay. I guess where it compares is Confluence is an enterprise grade product. You'll need to pay for it, and Google, you'll get it for the price of your Gmail. So it's got a lot more power in it in terms of what it can actually do. So well, here we are, we're in Confluence. I was going to show a Confluence page. For example, we've got a lot of extra things that we can do here. So we've got things called macros. And macro will basically give you, a widget, and here's one, an average age chart or a time in status. And what that does is allows you to put those macros into the page and connect it with other Atlassian products, so like Jira or Bitbucket or Portfolio, as we saw before. And then you can embed that into the page. And suddenly you end up with a very rich page that's more than just text, because it's bringing contextual information from other platforms. So, Google, we use Google, but we certainly don't use the Docs component of it. But yeah, how does it compare? Google's pretty good for a lightweight, but if you want a business grade, or you really want to do more with it, then Atlassian's going to look good for you. With Atlassian, and this is how Design Industries got started, is it's $10 for 10 users per app. So we ended up, because we had 8 staff, I think, at the time. And so for $50 US, I could have 5 products which were enterprise grade and have the team using it. And that was a fraction of the cost of other tools. And for what you get, yeah, it's crazy. All right, so I'll jump into the next one. What's the difference between Jira, Trello, and Slack? Okay, so Trello and Jira are basically work management tools. So it's about having a ticket and running it through a Kanban type process or a workflow type process. Trello is very lightweight. Jira is powerful workflow engine. Slack is a chat tool. So Atlassian bought 30% of Slack and disbanded their own chat tool, HipChat, that happened a couple of years ago. So we use Slack. So Slack's great for, having team rooms where you can chat. You can have, obviously, one-on-one chats. So we've got color team rooms. We've got the DI team room. We're separated into Cebu in the Philippines, Melbourne. So they've got different team rooms and different subjects. We set up a room today, and I've got it right down the bottom here, which is the University of Melbourne team room. So I've got Elliot and Phil in there being able to chat to me. So it's being able to collaborate with the team even while I'm talking to you. So that's, Slack's pretty cool. Are there student versions available for these software? There's a free version now. So yes. So yeah, get Jira and Confluence, get the free versions. Alternative software might be more accessible. Well, I think you can get a Trello account for free. That'd be a good spot to start. So if you had Trello and Google Docs, that would give you a free version of Jira and Confluence. But if you wanted to run a business, you wanted to run an enterprise, you'd be wanting to have a more sophisticated tools. All 4 of my units usually involve coursework, and I want to introduce these practices into our projects. Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I would love to provide Atlassian lab environments to all universities in Australia, something I'm working on. Big job, obviously. But, in terms of organising your work, you can't go too far wrong with the free versions, and then you'll be able to manage your coursework. So I'd highly suggest that. Is there an element of accountability available? I know, especially with online group, peers are not always entirely accountable. One-on-one group works, my team members haven't finished one of the core. I don't know if we're supposed to publish that, sorry. Okay, yes. So this is a really, to me, it's a really important thing around accountability. And I'm just trying to think what's the easiest way to show you this. So I'm back to the MSR. And accountability. Oh, look at me. Oh, that can't be right. So I've got no quotes overdue. I've got 8 activities overdue. I've got 1 work item overdue. So when we're working on things, we'll find out which one it is. So let's go and have a look at this one. So this is a Jira Ticket. So you can see the status. You can look at the workflow, see where it's at. We can see it's obviously assigned to me. We can see when it was created. We can see when it's due. We can see how much time has been spent on it. We put work on this, and then down here we've got comments, and we can actually go and have a look at the history, which will show everything that's ever happened. Sorry, it's activity we want. No, it's not, it's history. That ever happened on this ticket. So we can find out exactly what happened, when it happened, how it happened. So from an accountability point of view, we can see when you touched it, what you did, how it is, what you committed to, where it is in the workflow, whether it's due. We can see how much time you put on it. And yeah, you should be accountable. And yeah, as a team, you should be helping each other out all the time. I've lost that page. It's sad. Can you re-select that to me, please? Hey. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let's go. How can we learn more about these tools? As students, we've used Trello, but not quite familiar with the other ones like Bitbucket. Can we learn to use the tools? Yes, you certainly can. So I suggest that you go to the Devops page. Where was it? Knowledge management, Git. So there's lots in here. So here's Learn Git. So Learn Git, Learn Git with Bitbucket. This will get you going. This will get you going. There's plenty of information on the Atlassian site. We'll send the links to the stuff that we've covered off today. But they've got so much information and really useful things. It's actually really cool. All right. I feel there's a challenge involved in online processing. A lot of us would rather write it by hand so those can. Whoa. Okay. What I'd suggest is you can see the power of what we're doing right now. You've got multiple people. There's Alice, there's Phil, and everyone's typing in here. And if you had a Confluence space that you could just sit there and go, okay, guys, we're going to catch up on a Zoom meeting. We're going to spend an hour and we're going to smash this out. And I can tell you that you get a lot done when everyone is typing into the document at the same time and then working on different bits at the same time. Yeah, productivity is just extraordinary. So what I'd really suggest is that's probably how you do it. You book the session so you're working together, you work in a collaborative environment, you work on the document together. And I think you're going to, but writing by hand and then scanning, that just sounds terrible. And then what are you going to, unless you can get something that'll type it in, perhaps if your peers just can't type, don't want to type, whatever, then you could use an app like Rev, which allows you to dictate. So you basically start talking into the to your phone, and then it will get transcribed for you. So that's another way to get around that. And I've done a bit of that recently. Just when you've got a lot to write, it's much easier to say it, have it transcribed, and then have someone polish it. What are some of the tools that HR professionals can use at Atlassian? Okay, yep, there's a good one, Upraise. So let's go have a look at Upraise. So we put in Upraise, but we haven't really fully implemented it. So Upraise is a plugin. Oops, I've got this one. That gives you, should spell it right as well. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, gives you the new OKR type methodology of managing your staff. So it's a plugin. Allows you to configure your OKR goals, and then builds in continual feedback into your process, and then gives you a much greater idea when you're doing your performance reviews of what's actually really going on. So I'll show you a ticket. Actually, yeah, I'll just grab one. Should be, because what it does, and so I'll show you because we haven't configured it. So Upraise. So what it does is it puts a component or an area into the ticket, as you can see here. And what it does is allow for staff to either give feedback on each other, or a manager to give feedback to a staff member, or request feedback. So as a staff member, you go, hey, I think I've done a really good job here. What do you think? And versus the manager might say, hey, oh, good job, versus, hey, I think you need to tighten up on your language, or yeah, I'm not super happy with the code, or whatever it is. And then when the performance management meeting comes around, then you've got a clear view of what the objectives and key results were, and then actual feedback against actual tickets, which takes a lot of the I can't remember that incident. I can't remember that out of the conversation, which is great for both parties when you're having the those HR type conversations. So that's one way that it does deliver into HR. All right, we've got to the bottom of the questions. We've gone pretty much 10 minutes over. Happy to take more questions. Yeah, thanks once again, everybody. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be able to speak with you and to share some of this information with you.
Cool. Well, look, I think, we've gone over time, so thank you very, very much, Michael. That was really quite in depth, and to be able to see all of the programs in action there, and to see how your team were collaborating on those answers was absolutely fantastic. I think it just proves how useful all these tools can be, particularly in times like this where we are all working remotely, because you're not all sitting in the one room either. So I think we'll probably end it there.